All right, so officially welcome to Star That You Are this evening. And we had a great connection before we started, and I thank you all for that. So we'll do the 3 minutes of silence, and then I have something very special to share with you about being a star and my process, and I want to encourage your process around it. I want to hear from all of you. But since we talked and, we've had busy days, I love that 3 minutes of silence for a beautiful connection. And this connection, as always, is between you and your God. And we are simply here to support, to see that facilitated with ease and grace on your journey. So as we breathe, my goal is always to just be in the moment, as Sherry said, to relax, to accept, to be at peace, to be one with all, to honor my journey, and allow my body and soul to work together, and to release the confines of the mind that wants to know everything and just be. So we begin our 3 minutes of silence now. So we take time now also to set our intention. Remembering that we are co-creators with God of our life and world. Also knowing we cannot control what life sends, but we can control how we respond, our emotional nature. We can choose to be at peace. So set that intention now. Also remembering to give thanks for all that we have, all that we are, all that we are becoming. Realize we are growing and expanding. And so for this time, we are grateful, we are blessed, and I just honor each of us on the spiritual journey and affirm we are guided and guarded by the Holy Spirit. We are loved, we are safe, we are supported, we are blessed. And so it is. Amen. So tonight's title is part of this series, Mystical Magical You. And I wanted to do this series because we live in a world that is so centered in what you can see. And I don't know if any of you have ever read the book, The Little Prince. It's really a child's book, but basically there's a line in there that says something like, what is important cannot be seen with the eye. And never has that been more true for me in my journey, because our eyes can deceive us because we judge by appearances. That said, often appearances can be helpful in our discernment process. So I'm not saying we forget appearances, but I'm saying we seek to see beyond appearances. So a great deal of my personal and spiritual work has been on the inner life for a very long time. And what I learned from one of my teachers many years ago, she said, what you're doing is building a new internal character structure. And that made sense to me. I'm building a new internal character structure. And I want you to think about that. Because depending on the family we grew up in, we learn certain behaviors. And those behaviors become how we structure, there's that word again, how we structure our life and world. And some of the ways we learn to build that structure is broken. Like beams are not put in right and everything else. And if a structure is not built properly, it can collapse. And that's what we learn to do. We learn to psychologically go into collapse. We learn to fight, flight, freeze, right? And here's the fourth one the way he talks about, fawn. In other words, we find ways to cope. And so as you start to heal, which you all are way down the road on this, or I would not even be talking about this. I'm telling you things tonight I've never told but one soul. This is so interesting that I was so guided to tell you this. But as I was learning about this, I thought, if I'm building a new internal character structure, how do I want to build the structure? What do I want to base it on? Because so much of my work was public and people's opinions of me. Well, I'm telling you, you cannot build your character structure on what other people think, because other people are going to do what? They're going to project, they're going to judge, they're going to, say, well, why don't you do what I want? It happens every Sunday, right? Somebody will comment on something or whatever. It's comical at this point. And so my internal character structure had to be so strong that no matter what somebody said, I knew who I was. So it really put me on an intensive journey. And so many of you have met or heard Mary Delaney speak. I know Sherry has, Rhonda has for sure, Anna as well, maybe Donna. And Mary Delaney is the one that's going to come lead the retreat with me in October. I hope many of you will go. It's going to be really, really beautiful. So I started going really in depth with Mary, and what I would do, because I studied with her in Phoenix one-on-one weekly, sometimes twice a week if I needed it. And then, because I was really sick when I lived there, so I needed a lot of support. So after I moved to Florida, I stayed working with her. And so every quarter, every 3 months, I would fly all the way to Phoenix. I'd work with her for 2 days and all the way back. And so I would leave Sunday morning, Sunday after church. I'd be with her Monday and Tuesday, and then I'd fly back early Wednesday and teach Wednesday night. That was my schedule. And I did not stray from that. For years, I did that every 3 months. And what I realized was happening, although the work with Mary was important, what was happening is that I was building a character structure around healing. My financial commitment to it, my making time in my schedule, my commitment to the work in between the times I would see her was building a new structure. And so whether we know it or not, we're building a new structure every day with every choice. And like Donna, with your situation, this new situation with Ernie home, there is a new character structure being built because you're having to do different things. I know because I've done, not with a spouse, but with a family member, very similar, but different still. But my life was very different from everybody around me because of that aspect of my life and world. And so every choice you make about the time you spend, about the movies you watch, about the people you're with, are all creating this character structure, because we're constantly creating, evolving, expanding. Sometimes we go into fusion and sometimes we go into release or collapse. And the reason I'm setting it up in this way is that we're constantly changing and evolving like a star does. So, star that you are, this is why I'm saying all of this about structure, is that we look like we're very dense creatures, but the truth is new life and new energy and new things are happening all the time. Like Sherry said earlier, you said it so well, Sherry. You're like, well, you're learning new things. Yes, and so are you. And so all of you are. You're learning new things. And so as I was working with Mary, this is the thing I've never told anybody. So I was in deep, deep meditation. I was staying in this retreat center, specifically spiritual, and they would give free retreats for ministers, even though I'd always give them like a real nice love offering or whatever. But so before I would do my one-on-one work with my mentor, I would do deep meditations, hours, 2 hours, whatever. I'd go walk the labyrinth in the sun, then come back, take a nap, meditate some more, take a bath, then go do my thing. Like the whole thing was healing. I was always in this vibe. I didn't even like go out to eat or whatever. I'd go to the store when I got there and just eat like very minimal. So before a session with her, I'm going to tell you what happened. I was praying and I was lying in a bathtub. This is the other reason I didn't want to tell people. But I was lying in a bathtub. And as I'm lying there, all of a sudden, out of my chest, I could not make this up. It was like the Big Dipper goes like this. I could see stars come out of my chest and go back in. I said, well, that was different. I mean, I could not have asked for that for all the money. I never dreamed of something like that, I'll be honest. And I was like, okay, I need to go walk outside. I walk outside and that sky in the desert, and I looked up, and what do you think is right above me? That Big Dipper. The same thing I had just seen. And then I started studying the nature of stars. And that's what I want to share with you. And I wrote this paper. I'm going to share it with you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it in the chat, and you can even read it with me. Let's see. Here you go. My girlfriend is a graphic designer, and she made this for me today. I shared it with her finally, and she's the first person I ever shared it with. Now I'm sharing it with you, so there you go. And this is something I read often, and I had handwritten it out on a piece of paper that I kept moving around, and I'll read it aloud, and you can follow along. Did it come through? Everybody get it?
Okay. Is it in the chat? It's not on the screen.
Sorry, yes, it's in the chat. Why don't I share it on the screen also? I'll do that. That'll be easier, yeah. Let me see if I can even get the screen. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get the screen a little bit bigger. Or maybe I don't need to worry about it. You can see it good enough, I'm sure, yeah. because the main thing is hearing it anyway, and you can kind of follow along. Okay. So this is what I wrote after that experience. I am a star. Oh, sorry, let me move this. I am a star full of clarity and intuition. I shine brightly. As I shine, others will know their light. A star is calm and peaceful, but constantly evolving. It is a fixed luminous point, yet it is constantly changing and growing. A star evolved from nebula and continues to change and evolve until it goes back to source. To get back to source is a process of fusion, collapse, and conversion into a new state. Finally, the star expands and throws its essence back into an interstellar environment, creating new stars. The core of the star is but a remnant, but its light has been multiplied through the galaxy. Is that not the most beautiful thing ever? And I thought, what if I could capture this idea about myself and my life? And what if I could live from this place of knowing, even though I'm a fixed point in the universe, like I'm a human being, but I'm continually changing and evolving, and that this idea about as I expand, I throw my essence out and then it's multiplied. That is gorgeous to me. And so on my little paper, I just hand wrote a big star in the middle and like scribbled this all around it. And I'd move the paper around. And this, when I am in a day where I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Or why am I working so hard? And then I read this and then I go, oh, that's why. Yeah, that's why. So it's like, for me, this star that I am is what we all are. And that obviously that's the point. That's what we all are, you know. And the reason I do this work is to remind other people of this. It's like, this is what I live for, because I know as you believe it, you start to go, oh, yes, you know, like the things that you thought were not possible are now possible for you in some fashion. And that gives you the strength and the courage, you know, to move forward again. And so for me, that beginning, that I am a star of clarity and intuition, I shine brightly. As I shine, others will know their light. What I like about those, you know, 3 phrases for me in my journey now, this may only be me, but rather than trying to change anybody else, I'm simply trying to shine. And we all know that when we shine, other people see it. Other people feel it. So, but it takes me out. I'm going to stop the share for a minute. What I love about the idea is it takes me out of trying to fix anyone and only working on myself. And that as I grow, as I expand, as I, you know, move out in my awareness, then I can't help but affect other stars or create other stars. And then they return and multiply. So it's a deep thought and not something we allow ourselves to even think about. And that's why I love it. And of course, that's based on research I did about stars years ago. I say years, probably 8 or 9 years ago. What I love about the idea of the star that you are as well is that in the middle of the document it says, to get back to source is a process and this is what we're all in, of fusion, collapse, and conversion into a new state. And in any new field that we have to operate in, whether it's work or home, whether it's sickness or health, whatever that field is, or if we're recovering from a flood, well, the way we did life had to collapse, right? Newton Tracy, you guys went through it. The old way collapses until something new is reborn. You go, I don't know how to do this. And you go, but we do it. You figure it out. You figure it out. Having a child born into your house, right, Miss Rhonda? Is new. The old way collapses and a new way is trying to come forward. Yeah. In Mary, moving into retirement, the old you collapses and something new is coming forward. So it's like, I think sometimes we look at these stages, and interestingly, several of my clients are in their late 70s, early 80s. And so they're in a life stage of releasing and going, I don't know what the new stage is yet. I go, yes, you will and you do, but you have to be willing to let that old one go first, right? And as we move into retirement, that's a brand new one. Moving into realizing I'm in the last 5 to 10 years of my life, that's another one. It's like, I can't do what I used to do. That's right. So you convert, you collapse, and you move into a new state. So for me, it helps to know that in nature, all around us, stars that we look at and say are so beautiful are constantly in the same state, moving, changing, evolving, growing. And believe it or not, we are creating new stars with the people we help, our family members, our children, our grandchildren. This is how we help create this new galaxy, if you will, of beings. How we walk through this world, how we honor this process. So I'm going to read it one more time, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts. I am a star full of clarity and intuition. I shine brightly. As I shine, others will know their light. A star is calm and peaceful, but constantly evolving. Sorry, let me show it to you. Sorry. A star is calm and peaceful, but constantly evolving. It is a fixed luminous point, yet it is constantly changing and growing. A star evolved from nebula and continues to change and evolve until it goes back to source. To get back to source is a process of fusion, collapse, and conversion into a new state. Finally, the star expands and throws its essence back into an interstellar environment, creating new stars. The core of the star is but a remnant, but its light has been multiplied throughout the galaxy.